Good morning. This is Michael Edward Reed. I'm at Starbucks in the corner of 4th and Union in Seattle, Washington. And I want to tell you about my case. It's called Child Prodigy to Poor Minister, a 1, 2, 3 story. Well, it goes like this. All I really know about my childhood is about who I am, is that my parents have always told me that I was adopted. And then they gave me my birth certificate, and it has their names on it. So I used to ask myself, and they didn't give me much of an explanation. Did you put me up for adoption and then adopt me? Or do I have another name that maybe the government doesn't know? Or maybe they do but didn't want to tell you all. So I did some research, and a guy with my name and approximate age was orphaned at the customs house in Brooklyn, New York, when they were an infant. So am I that child? Am I that man with the Amanda? Is that who I am? So was I actually born in Brooklyn, New York? But that's a little hard to understand. I don't really sort of understand how they're trying to tell me that. Because if my birth certificate has their name on it from a hospital where they're from, which would be Philadelphia, why is it that way? Anyway, that's something I'm sort of in the fog about. So anyway, I grew up. I was a child prodigy. I, uh, I guess I was treated like the classic orphan, being adopted by, I don't know, Mr. and Mrs. Pig or something. I don't know. They were good to me sometimes, but my dad was very strict with me. He didn't like me doing nothing he didn't tell me to do. And my mom, she was only really ever wanted to be around me after dad disciplined me. That was basically how it was for me growing up. So I was basically like a straight A student growing up. They put me like gymnastics. I was really good at it. Uh, I even joined the circus. I was a circus performer. I did the high wire act and the trapeze act, and I got to hang out with the lion tamer. I even one time put my head in the mouth of a lion, unassisted. They had me put my head in, then he took his hands away. I said, "Kid, don't make any sudden moves." And the lion just kept its mouth open. I think it may have later on spawned the movie The Lion King. Honest to God. Because I was in music class, I played the piano, and I even played before a large audience uh, at one of the big venues. Of course, when I was there sitting before the piano, I just sort of woke up playing it. And yeah, I was literally moving my fingers on the keyboard, and as I was playing, I wanted to know if it was me playing or if it was a sound recording, and it just looked like me playing it, and it was me playing it, and I got kind of creative over here on the high end of the keyboard just to make sure I sort of was just moving along, not really sure. I remember playing in Sunday school, like little kid sort of piano type stuff, but it was like I was in a trance and I woke up from a trance, like I was hypnotized or something into knowing how to play the piano. That's what it kind of felt like. But I was playing and I was like, oh, I have to remember this. And I was playing. I was doing pretty good. I may have even, under similar circumstances, have written some keyboard pieces for Disney, Pixar, like The Little Mermaid, even The Lion King, and stuff like that. But under them circumstances where I was, you know, forgive the term, I love my mom and dad. They did the best they could, but it's like they had an agenda with the community, and I was abused and battered child. I mean, there's no getting around it. But there was a lot of sort of things that if I played my cards right, I could make a fortune in later if I met the right people. I guess I still haven't really met the right people. A lot of that involves sex, and I faced impotence from the abuse, the battering, and the abuse. Impotence for a long time. So I never really had a lot of girlfriends, and well, the guys were the ones doing the abusing, so I'm not really turned on by men. It's if I get around men and they seem gay and angry and want to hurt me, I want to defend myself. Well, sometimes I want to hit them first because I kind of feel like I know what they're all about, but that would be kind of dumb. So I don't do that. Anyway, and the chicks they run around with are disgusting. I think they're about the slimiest chicks around. And they want to seduce me into like falling in love with them and then turn me over to their boyfriend. They got to be fucking crazy for real. They think I'm gonna fall for that. I don't fall for that when I'm drunk. I certainly ain't gonna fall for that when I'm sober because that's like living living in hell as far as I'm concerned. It sounds like something only people who want to like serve the devil the rest of their life will do. I'm just fucking crazy. Anyway, so throughout my life, I played guitar and drums, and with like superstars of the rock and roll and rhythm and blues industry, and country western too. Because we traveled all across the United States, and we traveled outside of the United States. And but my thing was always classic novels. I read 200. I read books like Treasure Island and Black Beauty, Oliver Twist, Frankenstein, Ugly Duckling, Robinson Crusoe, Of Mice and Men, Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn. Books like that. Those are called classics. They're meant in the public school system as part of education to be read between the 6th and the 8th grade. I know that because I'm a public school teacher. In fact, I can teach up to the graduate level, according to my academic qualifications. And it wasn't always academics. I've also served in the military, hand-to-hand combat. I don't think as far as I remember right now, they've never let me have a weapon in the course of defending the United States of America myself. Well, and them too. I always had to do it like talking, and then when talking didn't work, push come to shove, I get punched or something, or I get locked in a room. I had to fight my way out with just words and my fist and my feet, like hand-to-hand combat. And I don't ever remember killing anyone. So that's the way that goes. And, if you wanted to know my story, right? And I've been on aircraft carriers and battleships and destroyers, and I'm a heat and cooling mechanic. So during my training, everything they sort of pointed out when I'm serving has to do kind of with what goes on in probably heating and cooling. And so that's what's up with that. I'm a medical doctor too. I've been in and out of hospitals as a patient, and then for some reason I get the feeling that they discussed my case in the room, and then kind of gave hints that they were discussing someone else's case in the hospital, and then so I would like retain it because they had me on medication for like a broken bone or something, or sprained muscle, badly torn muscle, ligament or something. and I retained it because when it came to test day, I passed the test because they took me down to the U.S. courthouse and swore me in. So that's the way that goes. And that's my story. Now, I said I was from Philadelphia. Could have been orphaned in New York, and I lived in Colorado. Earliest I remember being in Colorado, I was 8 years old. So long-term relationship with the Colorado authorities. And then I went back to Pennsylvania and joined the Army. So Colorado's uphold the law, Pennsylvania enforced the law, but both contracts signed, dated uh, in the U.S. courthouse system. So who stands the most to gain from me being in Seattle, Washington, King County now? Well, certainly both of them. And my wallet has gone missing with my state ID and the Department of Motor Vehicles here. I told them that I'm no fool. I went to the class that says the Department of Motor Vehicles, when a person tells them their name and that it's an emergency, if the computer isn't broke down on the side of the road and the engine steaming, so to speak, like most cars are, then my picture's coming up, and you know for a fact I'm a United States Marshal, because this is the Department of Licensing, and I have a license to enforce the law and to uphold the law, and that you're a magistrate, and I'm telling you I want you to put me before that camera machine and make me a state ID right now by law, because I'm not a criminal. I received Social Security compensation, and she told me no, and they did it 3 times already. Like, screw you, they telling me. You stand here whether you want to or not, Marshal. And they so disrespectful, they don't even use the word, any sort of like formal, respectful terms. They think I'm a piece of shit. And they got all this gay shit around here. All these stickers on the door that say the government buildings is safe places for homosexuals. I'm not homosexual. As far as I'm concerned, I've been taken prison here by the Seattle King County government, because I'm not homosexual and I'm a United States Marshal. Am I being mistreated? Well, I think so, because there are junkies and whores galore around here. And I gotta sleep outside, and they seek me out almost like the police or the sheriff is pointing me out, telling them where they can find me, because they harass me all fucking night sometimes. And it ain't fucking right. I served in the Seattle Police Department and the King County Sheriff's Office, albeit briefly, but in uniform with a gun, heavily sedated, meaning diminished capacity by order of my co-workers, because I didn't even know they put the fucking drugs in me. I was told sometime later by the man who used to get me up out of my sleeping bed at my mom and dad's house and bring me here under the cover of darkness. And I had the wherewithal to do my job, but I always wondered why the fuck it is I feel like I'm sort of stoned when I'm, in a police uniform and a sheriff's uniform. Like, yeah, okay, I know I'm a police officer and a sheriff, but why the fuck do I feel like I'm fucking stoned? I ain't get high recently. Kind of like, are they slipping in the middle of the night and fucking hit me with a fucking hellacious fucking shot of dope or something? That's fucking making me feel all groggy all fucking day. Sorry about cussing. I'm sure you understand that, right? I've never received any of my paychecks. The guy said he was my manager, my business manager, and he just seemed to manage my money, kept me stoned, I guess, was his prerogative, and the other people that he worked with. And, where I'm being used as a study case or something. And they're starting to think I'm not even human. They're putting me through such, trials and tribulations. Like, oh, this is fun. Let's torture them some more. Fucking egomaniacs, man. They're fucking sadistic. I think they worship the devil or something. I don't think they believe in God. God that says that ain't right. To put some dope in somebody and put them in a policeman's or a sheriff, and then have them ride around and try to break up a fucking gunfight or something. Yeah, that's just like putting a sleeping man like in the middle of the fucking interstate. Have him walk out there, right as rush hour starting. Like maybe somebody late for work or run them the fuck over. Fucking sick fuckers around here. And then the only thing that makes any sense to me is the people in the government that gamble with other people's lives for big money. They think they're slick. They think they're so tough. They're a bunch of wimps. And I hope they're looking at this right now because they ain't something right about them. They, they, they're fucking living in La La Land or something. They're trying to get us all fucking killed. It's probably all their apologies are probably how they fucking get their dick up somebody's ass or something. Get somebody to lick that smelly old fucking crack they got. All the people they know in life, they live next door to, when it gets found out they did it again. A lot of fuck people would rather put up with somebody like that than somebody like me. I don't gamble on your life. I'm always doing my job wondering why it is people from the department don't want me to like have supper with them. Like sit there, don't want to tell me about how's it going, but don't mind asking a few questions. They give me the silent treatment. I mean, I never slept around. A lot of women used to think it's very attractive. I didn't really sleep around. I didn't talk dirty to them. Maybe every once in a while. I mean, but being a police officer and a sheriff and living on a military base, I heard lots of dirty jokes. And well, now to my credit, I guess, I've been in the mental hospital for some length of time and in the state prison too. But I've lived on military bases, state police barracks, uh, city police barracks, county sheriff barracks, lived in ordinary housing, everywhere around the world. And I sleep on the sidewalk, right? A poor minister, I'm the poor minister in a world full of people that think the poor minister should be kicked in the head or something every day. I know you probably don't want to hear this story, do you? We have to. Get invested in this YouTube thing, just like I did when we were back when we put it together. Remember that? Ran out of cigarettes and I have to go get some. One time they took me up the Air Force. They took me up one of C-130s, right? They put a parachute on me. Right? And the guy tells me like this. He says, I snap out of like this drug thing they got going on with me, right? And I'm looking him in the eyes. He's like, do you know where you're at? I look, yeah, I'm in a plane. He said, yeah. He said, I'm going to take this off right here. And he reached up here and take that. That was the main ripcord for the chute. He took that off me, right? And then I had a altimeter meter right here on my wrist. Well, he took that off it, right? Then he grabbed hold of my hand and put it on the emergency ripcord like that, right? And he says, right before you hit the ground, I want you to pull this. And then he pushed me out of the airship, and I went flying through the sky. And like a cat, I turned. And, because people are a lot like that too sometimes. If there's enough distance between them and the ground, well, they turn to look at the ground. And as soon as I saw the ground, I pulled the cord. Like, they put my hands out in front of me, right? And thank God I had a tight grip on it. It was probably the drugs still in my body because drugs like that cause a little bit of paralysis. So, and I floated to the earth, and I think that's what started the Persian Gulf War. I mean, I know it sounds kind of hilarious a little bit, kind of scary hilarious, but I think when I touched down on the ground, there was some British, some Englishmen there or some that met me, and they put a camera in my hands on a chain that went around my neck. A camera and said, "If you see anything interesting, mate, go on and start taking some pictures for us." And I said, "Oh." And they said, "Are you wondering why it's not a regular camera?" Like that. They said, and then there was a American. They said, "It's probably because you're not going to make it back, and I give you your gun right now to protect yourself, but you'd probably shoot me." Like that. So he was being a smartass, obviously. But I guess in their in their preparation for this thing they were doing at the time, they sort of figured I'd be safer without a gun. So I moved with the United States Army and Allies across the Persian Gulf battlefield back in them days. I had a camera and they had a gun, and they sedated me to keep me sort of in the rear in the gear playing catch up with them. So I got to take pictures of the war, following the guys across the battlefield and everything. And I'm a minister, so sometimes I remember, but I don't remember. I think I was looking at dead bodies, and I seen some mangled ones too from explosions. But I was like taking pictures of it and saying prayers, and that's pretty much what I did during the Persian Gulf War, which was the one in the 90s over there. And I think there was another time we charged the beachhead, but I'm not sure. I came in on a transport because the Air Force and the Air Force basically are Marines. So the Marines stepping out, and the Marines are in the Navy. They're basically National Guardsmen. And they're somewhat trained by the Army. Back when they was putting it all together, like hundreds of years ago. That's kind of pretty much how it works. And then, so it's all sort of been written down. I mean, this is what militaries do. They want to win the war, so they do a lot of training. They have test cases, and I guess I'm a test case. And I forget why, actually. I completely, you know, like going like that. So now I think some people came along and probably meant to be. They like captured these people that dream up sort of like new sets, for me, like on how they going to like control the population. And I think they like did it to get themselves like caught, like because they get to be a school teacher or something. They get to have an active sex life. They get to have some money and a nice car. I mean, what does that make you think of? Because I know what it makes me think of. And well, because I ain't that guy. Well, I'm a foreign minister guy, sleeps in alleyways and doorways. Has no place to go. Whose relatives don't want nothing to do with him. What does that make you think my relatives are? Probably that way too, right? Kind of crazy, huh? So I'm a U.S. Marshal. I'm a United States public minister, and I'm sleeping on the streets. I'm working 24/7 because when you don't have a home or a door, the lock on the door and lock on the windows that you control, then you basically in jail. You working. You may not be a criminal, but you certainly working, being outdoors 24/7. In a store that's open to everyone. Whoever comes to the door, basically. So that's why I'm a little catty every day, and I sort of get a little mad because people do say things to me when I'm walking down the street, and they think they slick. And sometimes in a restaurant, I hear them using phraseology. It's called that sort of ticks me off, and because I don't really know them, and I don't know how they know something about me that it could even be like a bad joke somebody told me years ago. Sometimes they bring that up, so I just get real catty. I want to get flatty, but I'm too fucking tired to get the fuck up and walk really fast. I just sit there like, okay, I know some asshole from my past is around here. What if they're going to show their face? I wonder if I'm going to recognize them. And anyway, and that's just the way they brought me up. So so about that, I had to pick my nose. Uh, some poor minister to the rich and insane. How's everybody doing today? The doctor is in. They're only insane because they think they can control all these party animals by being their everything. I want to be like that Beatles. I want to be your everything. That scared me. Reminded me of Silence of the Lambs, the crazy guy with the long hair, like pierces his own nipple. He's putting lipstick on. It's a fucking psycho. And Scully, he almost gets Scully, but Scully turns around and blows him away in the fucking pitch black darkness. Some people used to say I was Scully. It's called Scully. Like, did you do that? Did you all do that? Did you put me in a fucking house with a guy like that on top with a pistol in my head, like getting mine with two fucking big about him, like dead or alive? You understand? Did you actually do that to me? While I was heavily sedated, like go get him, Tiger. I used to play for the Honda Tigers. That was the criminal justice military training center I was on in La Honda. The name of the high school football team was the Tigers. Played first string, nose guard and center. Year was 1988. No, it was 1989. Sorry. You know, the same chick that was in the X Files with David Duchovny. He was in Red Shoe Diaries. That was a good movie. I used to watch it over here. Once, I'm telling you, I masturbated tonight. That girl's like snatched. She's standing there from behind, he snatches her underwear off. She was butt cheeks quiver. I mean, I was coming out of a coma. I didn't know what else to do. I got hard. I was like, what do I do? So I tried to bathroom and masturbate real quick. Does that make me a pervert? I hadn't had sex in years. That's my defense. Does that make me a pervert? Anyway. We having Starbucks coffee this morning. They made a promise there. But it's the promise. Right there. I don't think this thing was always on there. This thing right here. That sort of logo right there, company logo for Starbucks, has something to do with the 80s. That's all I'm going to say. And I may have had something, I may have been in commercial art design school when that came about. I'm not going to say I worked directly on it, but there's a chance. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm trying to figure out. I said, why my wallet was snatched off with Almighty, and why the DMV won't give me a replacement ID. And I'm a minister, $12,000 a year, but it's disguised as Social Security, Medicare, for a disability. But I was a magistrate from 88 to 92, and a marshal from 92 to 2005, and I've been a disabled marshal ever since 2005. And then they got it wrong and sent me to prison in 2007. 2 years. It's because I'm still a marshal. They skipped formality, due process of law. They had to take me to Washington, D.C. and to the U.S. Congress on Capitol Hill in order to get an impeachment hearing first before they held trial on me in the criminal court in Charlottesville, which is a circuit court. So regardless of whatever you hear, United States Marshal is still a United States Marshal because even to get a criminal conviction in a state court, because they have to be formally impeached in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill before the United States Congress, all them senators, House of Representatives, or the criminal conviction is a no-go. It's not legit. The marshal didn't commit the crime. It's a bunch of people in the lower ranks that are pissed off at the marshal and decide to fuck him up. So that's what they did to me. Charlottesville, Virginia, and all their friends decided to fuck me up. That could be one of the reasons that someone stole my ID here in Seattle, Washington, and why it is I can't get a replacement one. So I can get on the bus or the train or plane and leave. Maybe Seattle says they're trying to figure that out. Maybe that's everybody's excuse when I come to their town. Except Seattle was the only ones brazen enough to send somebody in to fucking roll me in my sleep and steal my ID. I could walk, I guess. I'm kind of worried to get shot in the back. Die of frostbite up in the mountains. And the 9th district is humongous, so they would just follow me around, probably teasing me the whole fucking way. And Las Vegas is in the 9th, so remember I was saying earlier, they probably wagered on my life on the stock market. Guess what they doing in the gambling parlors? You think it's any different? You crazy. Hugh Hefner's still down there? How you doing, Hugh? You remember me now, don't you? You watching this, Mr. Hefner? How's all my little money's doing? Huh? How about Michael Eisner over there in Disney? You watching this too? I remember you through all the sleepless nights, through the pouring rain. Love letters in the sand. I remember you. So when are you gonna send up one of them honey bunnies for me, huh? I heard they all ran away. You got a new crew. He didn't make them wear clothes because it's bad for this game. We want to look at that. I'm just kidding. Maybe if I can't have a wife, maybe all the women decide. Well, then these aren't allowed to get either. My chest. People say like with my hair this way. Well, sometimes they say I look like a Pennsylvania State policeman. I think that's true. Mr. Squarehead. Excuse me, miss, may I help you today? What seems to be the trouble? Sir, calm down, please. What are you getting so excited about? They said I had a condition in Charlottesville. They called it a PE. And I said, something they told me caused a heart attack and stroke. It's a drug, PE. I gave you PE number one. You public enemy number one. Public enemy was I'm the United States Marshal. Why would you do such a thing? They say only if we say so. Well, they said so. I said those were contracts that I signed. I don't know why you think you want to get away with because everybody's just going to step aside and let y'all just do whatever the hell y'all please. I don't know why y'all think that's the case. I really don't. It's like y'all troublemakers and inviting anybody and everybody ever heard of it to just come and kick your ass and be legally justified in doing it. Craziest thing. I mean, really. I say, well, we just defending a good citizen from your sorry asses. That's what it sounds like. Every time y'all want to follow me around and get close to me, everybody who decided it was a good idea to lock me up in prison in the state of Virginia. It's like they invite the entire other 49 states, including Denver and Philadelphia, who were just running a scam. Could have possibly got me killed, but if I look like an ordinary civilian driving a truck, it's a truck. Well, they may not believe the rumor or the truth, which the truth would sound like a rumor to them. You know, a police officer, and a sheriff, a firefighter, the civilian, federal, military government. But I mean, it sounds like they're partners too. Denver, Philadelphia, and Charlottesville. Sound like they all partners in my life story. And pulling the, and then they got it's corporations that are incorporated with hundreds of other cities around the world. All three of them. There's a chance to give them for adoption in Brooklyn, New York. Well, there's the fourth right there. I work in Seattle, King County, and a couple other cities in King County. Police officer. It just sounds really kind of. It sounds like there's a lot of people think ministers, right? If they're going to be judges, right? Part time, because U.S. Marshal, right, is a police officer full time, and a firefighter full time, and a sheriff full time. But be a judge at the courthouse, they kind of part time. They a third party, even though they're the boss there. When they're in the courthouse, even the federal attorney general is supposed to basically salute them, because that's the law. But when the marshal is not in the courthouse, the federal attorney general is the chief judge of the courthouse. But should the marshal show up, they can't bar the door, and they have to open the door. And the marshal is the boss man of the federal attorney general. Federal attorney general know it. We have a woman who's like the boss lady of the federal attorney general division, but there are many federal attorney generals. In fact, I'm pretty sure the guy who drives the Homeland Security vehicle, police vehicle, and SUVs usually, I'm pretty sure he's a federal attorney general. Or if it be a she, she's a federal attorney general. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And that they run around with an army, like basically. And there are different branch services. But that's the federal attorney general. That's what the federal attorney general does. They're a general. But there's only one full general, and I think it's the federal attorney general is the one and only general of them all, of all generals, like that. But she answers to the marshal too. She can be hauled before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is composed of marshals, United States marshals, and she is not above the law. The federal attorney general is not above the law. They can be brought to the Supreme Court. They can be stripped of their power, and they can be thrown in jail by the United States Marshals at the United States Supreme Court. And don't think for a minute that the United States Supreme Court stopped swearing in United States Marshals. They are the largest division of police in the entire United States of America. And they're the first organized police department in the United States of America. And it's been official since 1789. So there's a lot of sort of people who say, well, that sucks. If I could, I would do something to change that. And it's an old rumor, an old theory. That's how a department of government starts. Federal Department of Government. People who are unhappy with the Supreme Court. And the president is an elected official to negotiate with them on behalf of the marshals. Because usually he's a guy that, well, fucked up too, so to speak. Sorry. I don't know each and every one of their cases. It's just kind of a rumor with strong indicators involved that it's a correct rumor. And it's mostly because they listen to Congress, other elected officials. That's how they become presidents. I listen to Congress say, well, we're thinking about making a new law. Why don't you go over there and do that, Mr. Future President? And then you can spend the rest of your life on TV talking about why it is you committed an illegal act. And then if you tell a good enough story and we hear something that sounds promising for a law, well, we'll make a law and that'll bail you out of your legal predicament. I think that's kind of how they are. Kind of crazy, huh? But they kind of were put in that position by everybody they know in life. So, government, right? And like, sounds like it's being run by the whores and the junkies, don't it? Because you ever hang around with a whore and a junkie? You ever hang around with a whore that's a junkie? You know what I was talking about. So forgive me if I seem out of line. Talk softly. Talk softly. I get going every time on cigarettes. I have nicotine. I'm not really having a nicotine right now, though. I look sleepy. Look, I got a big forehead. I got freckles. Oh, yeah. Hey, did you know I had freckles? Maybe I said too much just today. It's early. I really love Seattle, though. I mean, all that gun work was cool until things went wrong. But I like walking around. It's nice. People are basically nice people. It's usually some people think I'm here like trying to take something away from them or something. That's just like the unlawful conviction in Charlottesville. So people that tell you all that he's trying to take something away from us, that's probably what they mean. So be careful. I gotta get going though. Who loves you, baby? It's Kojak. You don't know Kojak? I didn't say LoJack. I really have a nice day. Live long and prosper. Again. So, trying to do this back thing. Go on.